ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतलं स्वयं रूपकथामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सघं रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश कुपिता कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभांसि देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यं। So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, text number 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 कर्णोऽपिदाय निरयाद्यत कल्प ईशे। कर्णोऽपिदाय निरयाद्यत कर्णोऽपिदाय निरयाद्यत कल्प ईशे। कर्णोऽपिदाय निरयाद्यत कल्प ईशे। धर्मावितरी अश्रेणिभिर्नृभिरस्यमाने। धर्माविताय श्रेणिभिर्नृभिरस्यमाने। चिन्द्यात् प्रसह्य रुचतिम् असतिं प्रभुश्चेत्। जिह्वाम् असून् अपि ततो विसृजेत् स धर्म। जिह्वाम् असून् अपि ततो विसृजेत् स धर्मः। कर्णोऽपिधाय निरयाद्यत कल्प ईशे। धर्मावितरिषणिभिर्नृभिरस्यमाने। चिन्द्यात् प्रसह्य रुचतिम् असतिं प्रभुश्चेत्। जिह्वामसून् अपि ततो विसृजेत् स धर्मः। माताजी, कर्णौ both ears, pidaya blocking, nirayat one should go away, yat if, akalpaha unable, ishe the master, dharma avitari the controller of religion, ashrinibhi by irresponsible, dribhi persons, asyamane, being blasphemed, chindyat, he should cut, prasahya, by force, rushatim, vilifying, asatim, of the blasphemer. Prabhu, one is able, chet, if, jihvam, tongue, asun, his own life, api, certainly, tataha, then, visrujet, should give up, saha, that, dharmaha, is the process. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Sati continued, if one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender, and after that one should give up his own life. Purport, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The argument offered by Sati is that a person who vilifies a great personality is the lowest of all creatures. But by the same argument, Daksha could also defend himself by saying that since he was a Prajapati, the master of many living creatures and one of the great officers of the great universal affairs, his position was so exalted that Sati should accept his good qualities instead of vilifying him. The answer to that argument is that Sati was not vilifying but defending. If possible, she could have cut out Daksha's tongue because he blasphemed Lord Shiva. In other words, since Lord Shiva is a protector of religion, a person who vilifies him should be killed at once, and after killing such a person, one should give up one's life. That is a process, but because Daksha happened to be the father of Sati, she decided not to kill him but to give up her own life in order to compensate for the great sin she had committed by hearing blasphemy of Lord Shiva. The instruction set forth here in Srimad Bhagavatam is that one should not tolerate at any cost the activities of a person who vilifies or blasphemes an authority. If one is a Brahmana, he should not give up his body because by doing so he would be responsible for killing a Brahmana. Therefore, a Brahmana should leave the place or block his ears so that he will not hear the blasphemy. If one happens to be a Kshatriya, he has the power to punish any man. Therefore, a Kshatriya should at once cut out the tongue of the vilifier and kill him. But as far as the Vaishyas and Shudras are concerned, they should immediately give up their bodies. Sati decided to give up her body because she thought herself to be among the Shudras and Vaishyas. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Striyo Vaishyas tata Shudraha. Women, laborers, and the mercantile class are on the same level. Thus, since it is recommended that Vaishyas and Shudras should immediately give up their bodies upon hearing the blasphemy of an exalted person like Lord Shiva, she decided to give up her life. Again, Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So my humble obeisances to all the devotees, Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kapasindu, Bhyaye Vachapaddanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavibhyo Namo. So, Sati continued, if one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and control of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender, and after that one should give up his own life. So it's a very powerful verse, very wonderful verse actually. Should not use the word wonderful, but Bhagavatam is wonderful. So anything that Bhagavatam says is wonderful. So Srimad Bhagavatam is propounding the highest culture, the culture of becoming a fully self-realized Paramahamsa. That is the culture of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just as Shukadev Goswami, when Shukadev Goswami came to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami was completely out of bodily consciousness. And Shukadev Goswami continued speaking for 7 days, and Parishit Maharaj continued hearing for 7 days. So that is the real purpose of Bhagavatam, is to come to that level. I mean, I'm millions, trillions of miles away, but that is the goal. So the only way we can come to that platform is by the mercy of a person who is on that platform. So we have to be very careful that how we actually handle, uh, especially in an institution like ISKCON, where we are dealing with so many devotees, so many different uh, devotees with different backgrounds, with different sentiments, with different nature, different levels of advancement, different levels of seriousness in Krishna consciousness. One should be very, very careful in one's activities. So, not qualified to speak, it's only His Grace Yogasho Prabhu's um, order that I'm speaking, not qualified to speak. So, so the first point in this purport is, in the translation purport is, that one should not hear blasphemy. One should not hear any kind of blasphemy. So, the origin of blasphemy is actually prajalpa, gossip. So, one should not indulge in prajalpa or gossip about any other devotee. If one is a self-realized soul, one is a pure devotee, and one is able to know the heart of another devotee completely, then that is a different scenario. And that is very rare, very few, like spiritual masters. But otherwise, one should never speculate, because there are certain examples in Chaitanya Charitamrita which are very important, like the example of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So, although it is true that detachment and knowledge is very important for self-realization, but at the same time, it is not necessary also. It is not completely necessary that one has to be detached and one has to have full knowledge in order to take up the path of devotional service. On the other hand, by practicing pure devotional service, automatically detachment and uh, knowledge completely manifest in the heart of a person. So Ramananda Roy is another example. Although it's an exceptional example, but it's an example to teach us that one should not unnecessarily judge other devotees based on the externals. So, in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that if one hears any kind of blasphemy, then because it's sinful to commit suicide, so Prabhupada is saying that one should leave the place. So, how does Vaishnava Aparad originate? So, Vaishnava Aparad originates by seeing a devotee from a material position, from material situation. So the origin of this kind of material consciousness is to have a challenging mentality. So challenging mentality from the very beginning in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada rejects challenging mentality. So only submissive oral reception can actually reveal, because we are in a revealing process. So Krishna has to reveal himself, Guru has to reveal himself, Vaishnavas have to reveal themselves. So if one has a challenging mentality, then there is no hope. So as much as possible, one should cultivate genuine humility based on um, two things. Prabhupada says, genuine humility can be cultivated on the platform of strong association of devotees, number one, and number two, by acting in the mode of goodness. So what does it mean to act in a mode of goodness? To act in a mode of goodness means to be conscious of whatever you're doing. So if you're always conscious of what you're doing and you're trying to do it in a way which is favorable towards Krishna, that is the mode of goodness. And how can we develop a favorable attitude towards Krishna? We can only develop a favorable attitude when Krishna becomes favorable to us. And in Prahlad Maharaj's teachings, Prabhupada says that Krishna is the friend of everyone. If anyone thinks that Krishna is not his friend or her friend, then Prabhupada says that is an animalistic thought process. So the only reason why Krishna could become unfavorable to someone, a devotee, is if they offend another devotee. So offense, I mean, I'm just speaking from Prabhupada's purport. So what offense does is, offense creates the mentality of enemy and friend. So in Prahlad Maharaj teachings, again and again, Prabhupada rejects this idea of someone is my enemy, someone is my friend. Why? Because this duality, again, Prabhupada says in the purport, that this duality does not allow one to realize the super soul. When you don't realize the super soul in the heart, you don't have any connection with the super soul, then it is very difficult to pray. It's very difficult to pray. And even if you pray, because you have no connection, the prayers will not be heartfelt. And when the prayers are not heartfelt, then according to that mentality, Krishna will not help us to make advancement. Krishna will not help us to make spiritual progress. So that's why one has to be very careful. So whenever there is any confusion, any kind of um, confusion about the behavior of a devotee, oh, why this devotee behaved like this? Why this devotee did like this? The best thing is to ask that devotee with a humble attitude, not a challenging attitude, but humble attitude, that why, could you kindly clarify? And again, it has to be genuinely humble. Mm. That Prabhu, I want to follow what you're saying, but I just want to understand uh, little more clarification. So what that happens, what that does is that destroys the mm, mentality of someone is my friend and someone is my enemy. Because I'm speaking about myself, the nature of the mind is that when the mind thinks that someone is my enemy, or some enemy is a strong word, but someone is not my well-wisher, then naturally the mind starts ruminating on that, starts thinking on that more and more. And that, of course, that destroys one's connection with the super soul, or one that destroys one's connection with Krishna, because instead of focusing on Krishna, one's mind focuses on that person, that why that person did like this, why that person did like this. So great souls teach by their example that, of course, is a very high platform, but by their strong Krishna consciousness, even if there is some negative thought from another person, like this is a very good example. Lord Shiva, although Daksha was thinking, was speaking in such a inimical way towards him, but even in his mind, Lord Shiva did not take any action until um, Sati is going to leave her body. So this is, of course, the highest platform. And when one reaches this platform, then there is no problem in life. When one is able to always think of Krishna, then at that point, nobody can be his enemy, because one at that moment one can see Krishna in the heart of everyone. One can see how everyone is Krishna's servant, and just by Krishna's mercy, they can see the best in everyone. They can see that everyone is the best servant of Krishna. Everyone is most dear to Krishna. It's like Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he never found fault in anyone. So that's a great inspiring stage of Krishna consciousness, which we can all aspire for. But yeah, it is very important not to create this duality in the mind, because this duality is the main reason for suffering in Krishna consciousness. So if one does not develop this duality in the mind, and even if one develops this duality that someone does not like me or someone is upset with me, if one prays to Krishna that Krishna, I want to get rid of this thought process, because ultimately it's destroying my Krishna consciousness. So if one prays with an open heart and slowly comes out of this thought process, then one can be connected to the super soul. And when one is connected to the super soul, then so many wonderful things happen. So this is a very, very important incident, very important um, pastime in Srimad Bhagavatam that one should not tolerate. And if one sees anyone has an offensive mentality, as a critical mentality, um, unnecessarily critical mentality, then one should stay away from such association. Whoever it may be, but if one sees that someone has a nature of gossiping, then one should stay away, humbly stay away, without creating any disturbance or any offense, just stay away. And how do you stay away from someone who has this gossiping mentality or critical mentality? You just say Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, I have service to do, thank you. So in a very, very careful way, you stay out, because otherwise it's just like a spider web. So once you get caught in that association, once you start, you get entangled in that conversation, then it's very difficult to get out. So one should be very, very careful. And actually, although it may seem very painful, or it may seem initially difficult to do, but it's the best thing for you and it's the best thing for that person, both. So this is about this verse, is very important. So spiritual life is actually a very individual process. This individual, our progress is individual, our path is individual, our everything is individual. Although we are in the association of devotees, we are we are taking strength from the association of devotees to make progress, but how we progress, what we need to do, that is individual. That's very important to understand. So many wonderful examples are there in our Shastra, in especially Chaitanya Charitamrita, that how uh, by simply sticking to one's position without imitating or copying someone, actually that is the main reason of aparadh, is imitating someone, speaking for myself. So when we try to imitate an exalted person, either we try to imitate Guru, we try to imitate any exalted devotee, then that imitation, because we're not qualified to be on that platform. And so because of that, when if someone imitates, then instead of seeing other devotees from the spiritual platform, one sees them from the material platform. So then that definitely results in all these consequences. So Maharaj Pratap Rudra, even Sanatan Goswami, they are wonderful examples. Like Maharaj Pratap Rudra, he was a king. So he was a king, he had no ability on his own to actually approach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what he did, he just accepted that situation, that I'm not qualified. And first thing he started doing, he started serving those who are very dear to Lord Chaitanya. And then he not only served them, but he heard from them about Lord Chaitanya. With full faith, with a submissive mood, he heard. And by hearing and by getting their mercy, slowly, what happened? Lord Chaitanya revealed his glories in his heart. So this is the process of progress. That real progress is when Krishna reveals in your heart, okay, how do I make progress? How do I come out of my entangled situation? How can I increase my absorption in you? What are the things I am doing wrong in my Krishna consciousness? So these things Krishna has to reveal in the heart. Mm. Yes, we hear from devotees, we hear from senior devotees, but unless and until that whatever they speak, unless it revealed in the heart, we will not be fully convinced. Like, just for example, some scene, for example, in uh, our scriptures, sinful activities are strictly prohibited. So a new person may hear that it is not good for you, but unless and until he realizes that, yeah, this these kind of activities, they will destroy my Krishna consciousness. Until one has at least some level of realization, he cannot fully practice. So Krishna has to reveal, and Krishna has to, from within the heart, Krishna has to inspire us to follow in the footsteps of pure devotees. So Krishna revealed, Lord Chaitanya revealed his divinity to him. And on the strength of divinity, he became more and more enthusiastic in devotional service. He started serving more and more devotees, and he started pleasing more and more devotees. And ultimately, what happened? Because he reached that level of faith, that level of dedication to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, ultimately, he got the full mercy. Actually, he already obtained the mercy long before by doing menial service, by so much Vaishnav Seva. But that mercy was manifest at the end. So in the same way, uh, the seed of our success in Krishna consciousness, uh, we sow it today. We plan our success today. Uh, and what is success? Success means is to realize Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes and become attracted. To become attracted. So to become attracted to Krishna, Prabhupada says in his purport that one should not have any other desire. Any other desire than what? Any other desire than to serve Krishna, please Krishna in the way that the previous acharyas did. Then only it's going to be possible to become attracted to Krishna. And once you become attracted to Krishna, you don't need anything else in this world. So that is the goal of our process. And the only way we can attain that goal, I'm very far away from that goal, but the only way we can attain that goal is by staying in your own position, whatever is your position in devotional service, and by taking the humble position and doing whatever it takes to please. Like I was reading the other day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was telling Sanatan Goswami that you have accepted renounced order. But even though you're accepting renounced order, if you um, accept this very costly blanket, then it will not help you. So just think about it, that how much austerity Mahaprabhu is demanding from Sanatan Goswami. But Sanatan Goswami did not compare, did not say, oh, why do I have to be so austere? After all, I'm self-realized. No. He accepted, yes, this is how I can please Lord Chaitanya. So he accepted that position, and in from that position, he showed how one can achieve perfection. Same way, Maharaj Pratap Rudra also, he accepted his position, that this is my position. I cannot imitate someone else. I cannot copy someone else. But step by step, I will do whatever it takes to please Lord Chaitanya. So in the same way, in our life also, when we step by step, we try to please our authorities, step by step, we try to please Krishna, then we make further and further progress. So that's what as we go forward more and more in devotional service, we realize that internal progress is very slow until one attains the higher stages of devotion. I'm not there, but internal progress, which means our absorption, how much absorption we can have in the holy name, in the devotee association. So slowly, 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 we have to make progress. And time is very, very less. So many times we get sick, we get into some problem, and just my personal experience that those times it's very difficult to perform enthusiastic devotional service. Why? Because if you're sick or due to whatever reason, you're not able to do as much service as you normally can do. And service is our life. Service is what gives life to our sadhana. Service is what gives life to our hearing, everything, our enthusiasm. So when we are not able to do that physical service for whatever time, 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, that is a time that we lose in this valuable human form of life. So that's why engaging in sense gratification is very, very dangerous in our Krishna consciousness, especially those of us who are aspiring to become pure devotees. It's very dangerous. So as much as possible, like his own Chandravalli Maharaj, when he gave initiation here, he said that no television. Why Maharaj said that? Why? Because that's how dangerous the media is. Prabhupada, our sadhana, our guru, they're all telling us that this is the way you can be happy, by pleasing Krishna, by serving Krishna. But the television, the media is preaching the complete opposite. So when we hear that preaching, naturally, uh, since we are not, I am not on the self-realized platform where we're seeing Krishna face to face, eye to eye. So definitely that will have its effect on our consciousness, on our practice of devotional service. So that's why, as much as possible, we should be very careful, and we should, if we have not cut down completely, then we should slowly cut out this sense gratification. So yeah, these purports are very serious, and the moment we lose faith in a devotee by criticism or blasphemy, then we lose his mercy. We lose his mercy, we cannot hear from him, and then when we cannot hear with an open heart, then we cannot imbibe what he is speaking in his lecture, in his katha, and then we cannot make advancement. So we have to be very, very careful, even in our society. So that's why the first thing is very important in our society is actually to read Prabhupada books very carefully. Because in Prabhupada books, I'm today, most of what I spoke is I'm just repeating what Prabhupada says in his purports. If I didn't read, I would never come to know these finer details of devotional service, because naturally I'm a fallen person, and when I practice devotional service, it's not pure, it's mixed. Therefore, I make many mistakes, and as a result of those mistakes, the inspiration that I get is not completely pure. So when we read Prabhupada purports, when we hear from pure devotees, exalted devotees, then that is constantly corrected. So unless that is corrected, that inspiration, that mentality will keep going on. And this is my um, experience time and time again, that whatever Prabhupada is speaking, whatever you're reading, especially if you're reading systematically, is what you exactly need to know for your Krishna consciousness. So that's why it's very, very important. Like even if someone gives a class for 1 hour, 2 hours, on Bhagavad Gita, on Bhagavatam. But when you read Prabhupada purport, the difference is that when you read, you can stop, you can ponder, you can really question that what does it mean to me? So that's why reading is very, very important, extremely important. If you see any sannyasi in today's time who is a pure devotee, who's, Prabhupada disciple, they have read very thoroughly. I've studied the lives of almost all the spiritual masters. Whoever has been successful, they are very, very well versed with Prabhupada purports. Because without Prabhupada purports, you just cannot survive in spiritual life. Prabhupada purports are very, very powerful. Just one line in Prabhupada's purport is enough to change your consciousness. So that's how powerful it is. And that's how irreplaceable it is in our spiritual life. So it's extremely important to read, to hear. Because without proper understanding of Sambandha, how can one endeavor in Krishna consciousness? So yeah, this is very important. Today's Dwadasi is we celebrate the devotion of Tulsi Maharani. So she performed great austerities to actually attain the pleasure of Krishna. Actually, Tulsi Maharani of Vrindadevi is so dear to Krishna, is so dear to Radharani that even Radharani herself, she performs austerities to please Vrindadevi in the spiritual world. So, yeah, Tulsi Maharani is very dear to Krishna. And in the first verse of Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada says that by tapasya, one can come out of, overcome the victimization of the illusory energy. So tapasya is very good. The concept of tapasya, that trying to accept some inconvenience for making advancement, that is tapasya. So whatever inconvenience it may be, whether it is reducing screen time or whatever it may be. So Prabhupada purports are there. Actually, many things in Prabhupada purports are just incredible, incredibly incredible. That's all I can say. That many times, even when I feel, if I feel down in my Krishna consciousness, I feel not so inspired, just one purport does two things to me. One thing is it inspires me, and second thing is it makes me feel that Prabhupada is here with me right now. Prabhupada is in my heart right now, and Prabhupada knows what I'm going through right now. So yeah, so devotional service, especially if one wants pure devotional service, um, one has to pass the tests. One has to come out of the provoking situation successfully. One has to tolerate. It's not easy. Whoever has been successful has tolerated. Those situations where they don't understand why something happened to them, they're not able to, at that moment, they're not able to reason, but they all came out successful. Why? All the great acharyas. Why? Because they took shelter. And taking shelter is not 1 day or 2 day process. It's a constant process. So yeah, it is very, very important. This Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Charitamrita is extremely important. So we have to take full advantage of reading these books and hearing from pure devotees that how we can practice this in our life. Constantly we have to hear. Otherwise, progress is not at all easy. But at the same time, one thing is very encouraging, that yes, it's very important to know that we are not the body and so many things. Philosophy is important, but unless one actually associates with Krishna's pastimes to whatever extent possible, through Krishna book, through Chaitanya Charitamrita, So many pastimes are there. To the extent that we can associate our mind with those pastimes, only to that extent we can realize that Krishna consciousness is a joyful process. Actually, it is a very joyful process. It's a very wonderful process. The only thing, speaking for myself, that could make the process difficult is my mentality. So if I approach Krishna in a favorable way, in an enthusiastic way, then there is no problem. I will always be joyful because Krishna is very, very, very merciful. So in order to maintain that joyful mentality, one has to associate with those who uh, pure devotees who are actually meditating on the pastimes of Krishna, and one has to hear these pastimes of Krishna. Because pastimes of Krishna, the purpose of the pastimes is just Krishna's happiness, devotees' happiness. There is no other goal of these pastimes. So when we, if we can hear these pastimes to whatever extent, then that gives us great inspiration because that is our goal. Our goal of spiritual life is to please Krishna. That's all. There's nothing more than that. So when we hear these pastimes, these small, even sweet, like yesterday I was just speaking this pastime of Sudama, that how Sudama was, Krishna reciprocated Sudama with so much love. So that's very simple pastime, but it's so inspiring that Krishna is so caring, Krishna is so loving, Krishna is so caring, and Krishna is so thoughtful. So that's very inspiring to the heart because that pastime inspires us to have a relationship with Krishna, to serve Krishna. So these pastimes of Krishna, these pastimes of pure devotees, very inspiring, and we should hear regularly, we should discuss regularly. This is the purpose of this Krishna conscious movement, is to create a very, very positive, a very inspiring, hopeful, very hopeful life. So yeah, this is what I wanted to speak today. Please forgive me if I spoke anything inappropriate or anything strong. But yes, Prabhupada purports are really, really amazing. It's just, even Bhagavad Gita purports. You read one line of Bhagavad Gita purport, it's amazing. The depth of realization in one line is so incredible, actually. The other day I was just reading that Prabhupada, when Prabhupada says something and Prabhupada writes something, you feel there is so much Shakti, so much spiritual potency in that. Prabhupada was just writing Bhagavad Gita about that simple pastime, that how the sparrow was trying to dry out the ocean and then Garuda came and returned her eggs. So reading that pastime, reading that purport, I was just thinking that wow. At the end of that purport, Prabhupada says, God helps those who help themselves. So when you read that, you feel so hopeful that wow, that yes, in any situation, if I am little determined, I'm little serious, sincere, then Krishna will help me. Krishna will definitely come. And we also experience that Krishna helps us, gives us some happiness, gives us some joy in our heart to make spiritual advancement. So yeah, it's very, very wonderful. Anyone has any question or comment? Yeah. Yes, Hoji. I mean, you're far more exalted and you have a direct connection all the time. But Prabhupada says in his purport that if one comes out of the duality of friend and enemy, then that helps to realize the super soul in the heart. Because my realization is that the main thing that basically connection with the super soul in this context is that yes, whatever devotional service I am doing, whether it's less or more or whatever it is, I feel that yes, I feel some positivity. I feel some inspiration. I want to do more. I want to serve more. I feel some enthusiasm. So that is a big, that is the, at least that is a kind of connection with the super soul that I'm aspiring for, because Prabhupada says that if you're not happy in Krishna consciousness, then you're in Maya. I mean, this is Prabhupada's line. So, and the main reason for not being happy is super soul is not pleased. And the only reason super soul could not be pleased is this thinking ill against a devotee. So thinking ill against a devotee is because of this friend and enemy concept. So that's what I, sorry, please correct me. Anyone else has any other question? Online? Could everyone could could everyone hear? I see a message that I can't hear you.
Yes,
We can hear
Prabhuji.
can hear Prabhuji.
Okay, so nobody has any questions. Please forgive me today. Whatever I spoke is just completely out of Prabhupada purports. I have no realization, I have no qualification, I'm struggling myself. But I seek your blessings that one day I can realize what I'm reading, what I'm hearing. Right. Jad Guru Srila Prabhupada.